Welcome, friends! Thanks for tuning in to our IFRS 17 educational series. Today, we will show you how conveniently the Systemorph standard solution can aid you in producing IFRS 17 reports. IFRS 17 is all about processes, and to conduct these processes, multiple components are required. Let's have a look at what they are. So we start with many different persons and several ingredients. These include input data, the calculation engine, and diverse reports. We take a closer look at input data, featuring parameters and transactional data. So there are different types of model and market parameters, such as yield curves and FX rates. And then under transactional data, we have cash flows, actuals, risk adjustment, and more. The collected input is processed by the calculation engine. This calculation engine does all the necessary computations, considering the best available version and enabling the team and auditors to backtrace changes, detect any inconsistencies, and reproduce the process. The calculated figures are then gathered in several tables and graphs to then be incorporated in the annual report with conclusive financial statements to be communicated to shareholders. The most prominent examples are the profit and loss report and its sensitivity to changes in insurance risk variables. So as we mentioned, there are different actors that contribute to these processes. So we have different persons in the insurance group at certain legal entities. And then we also have people who work in the group headquarters that have roles to play as well. These different responsibilities can include generating cash flow projections per group of contracts, using a modeling tool to retrieve investment and market data, uploading effective cash flows, feeding and operating the calculation engine itself, reviewing results, and more. So underlying IFRS 17 is the collection of data, the tests that must be made to assess its quality, but also validation and digital sign-off. So considering all of these actors involved, it's an extremely complex exercise. Now, let's find out, how does the traditional approach deal with so many complex processes? We exploit the following analogy. Look at the people over here. So let's suppose they are the various teams involved in all the processes. And then we have this table which represents the calculation engine solution. And then checking the reports on the right is what they need to accomplish. So in this analogy, the persons sketched are good friends and they want to have lunch together. The thing is, they can't really start eating because in a traditional approach, we always wait for all the dishes to arrive on the table before we sit down to eat. So these people, their first task is data collection and import. Now let's take a look. What is actually the arrival experience for the information? Here we have the first piece to be ready, which is the cash flows part A. It's the model cash flows for some selected business. This arrives on the table at noon. So let's say that we would call this the first dish arriving on the table at an otherwise empty table. So in the traditional approach, the meal is not ready and the guests cannot start. More data then becomes available in an irregular sequence. Here we have the reinsurance coverage and the risk adjustment. This is like the additional dishes that are arriving on the table, and now we see that it's 12:15. Unfortunately, not everything is there yet, and so the guests must still wait. They're becoming more hungry. This is even the case when almost all of the input data is ready. Now the latest economic input has become available. It's 1 o'clock, but we're still missing the last dish. The guests must still wait. Finally, we have the actuals. Now that all the pieces of information are available, and all the dishes are on the table, we can allow the guests to start reviewing and eating. However, it is now 2 p.m., so they've been waiting quite some time and are extremely hungry. Results are brand new, and only now an extensive and time-consuming reviewing process can start. People are seated, deeply involved in the reviewing process, but it must be noted that reviewing is more than just viewing. It includes error corrections and implies repeated calculations. So now let's take a look at how this works in the Systemorph approach. So here we once again have our guests, we have our calculation engine, and it's lunchtime. The first piece again is the projected cash flows, part A, the first dish arriving on the table at noon. In the Systemorph solution, the incoming data is used to calculate the first reports with the best information available. For parameters such as yield curves, it uses proxy values, typically those of the previous period. In this way, the pre-analysis can already start. Analogously, for the actuals, it considers the expected modeled cash flow as approximate values. This is how the Systemorph template and calculation engine ensures that people do not wait. Although not everything is on the table, it's 12 o'clock, they can sit down and already begin eating. As new information becomes available, such as reinsurance coverage and the risk adjustments, these are immediately used to update the reports. So here we additionally had another guest who joined the table, and the process continues. We compare this to a potluck meal where new food arrives in an unpredictable sequence. It's 12:15. People can sit and enjoy whatever it is that's on the table. Maybe they only came for the starters, maybe they came for the main course, maybe they're waiting for some sauce. In any case, they can start with whatever is there. At 1, the most updated economic input and parameters become available. So almost all the input data is ready, except for, once again, this last plate, which is for the actuals. The reports are calculated with this information, are almost complete for a continued review. Then, adding the actuals data on their arrival will be straightforward. It's 1 p.m., people are finishing their potluck meal, so if they, for example, only came for the starters, they can already head out, and those who prefer to wait a little bit longer for dessert can still stay seated at the table enjoying whatever they're working on finishing. The reviewing process started long before and is completed soon after adding the actuals. So the people now have free capacity and ample time to move on to new tasks. Let's summarize all this in a graph showing progress against time. We'll look at it first for the traditional approach. Notice the large time gaps between the arrival of data, the calculation, and the review, which is actually decoupled from the initial data gathering. And when you look at the same for the Systemorph template, it works at double the speed. No time is lost between data arrival, report calculation, and review. The impact of data on reports becomes immediately visible. The reviewers acquire an early familiarity with reported figures, enhancing their quality. Finally, let's talk a little bit about the Systemorph technology when it comes to IFRS 17. The Systemorph IFRS 17 template uses a cloud-native technology which provides enhanced security and data management. It also uses a state-of-the-art methodology to make your IFRS 17 calculations efficient. The key is to immediately use new information for the calculation and the reviewing of reports rather than waiting for complete input data. The continued reviewing process leads to high quality and early completion, which then frees up human resources. The Systemorph IFRS 17 template leads to an early completion of your high quality reports. Thanks for tuning in today to learn more about how the Systemorph IFRS 17 calculation engine and template work. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share with your industry peers. Don't forget, you can subscribe to our channel to be first to hear about when our new videos drop. Please click the link that you're going to see appearing now on your screen if you'd like to learn more about how the IFRS 17 template works in practice. We hope to see you again soon. Have a great day, and bye for now.